Have you ever wondered, why do some people start with absolutely nothing, yet build fortunes that last for generations, while others work hard their entire lives and never seem to get ahead? Is success just luck? Is it talent? Or is there a hidden principle that almost every successful person follows? More than 85 years ago, one man spent over 20 years interviewing some of the richest and most successful people in the world. People like Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, and Thomas Edison. He wanted to answer one simple question: what separates ordinary people from extraordinary ones? The answer became one of the best-selling success books of all time, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. But here's something important. This book isn't really about getting rich. It's about changing the way you think. Because before you can change your bank account, you have to change your mindset. Today, I'm going to share 7 powerful lessons from this legendary book that have inspired millions of entrepreneurs, business owners, and successful people around the world. Stay until lesson number 7, because it ties everything together, and it may completely change the way you approach your goals forever. And before we begin, if you enjoy learning life-changing ideas from the world's best books, take 1 second to subscribe. Every week, we simplify powerful books into practical lessons you can actually use. So if you want to become smarter, more successful, and build a better future, you're in the right place. Now, let's begin. Lesson 1. Every great success begins with a burning desire. Imagine 2 people. Both say, "I want to become successful." The first person says it because it sounds nice. The second person says it because they can't stop thinking about it. They wake up thinking about their dream. They go to sleep thinking about it. Even when life becomes difficult, they refuse to let go. Which person do you think has a better chance of succeeding? The answer is obvious. Because there's a huge difference between wishing and truly desiring something. Napoleon Hill believed that every great achievement begins with one thing: a burning desire. Not a simple wish. Not a vague goal. But a desire so strong that giving up no longer feels like an option. Think about Thomas Edison. Before inventing the light bulb, he failed thousands of times. Imagine if he had stopped after the first 100 failures. Or even after the first 1,000. The world might have looked very different today. People often remember his invention, but they forget his desire. His determination to keep going, even when success seemed impossible. Now think about your own life. Have you ever wanted something, but gave up as soon as things became difficult? Maybe you wanted to learn a new language, start a business, lose weight, or write a book. At first, you felt excited. But after a few setbacks your motivation disappeared. Why? Because motivation comes and goes. Desire stays. Motivation depends on your mood. Desire depends on your purpose. Here's a simple exercise from the book. Instead of saying, "I want to be successful," ask yourself, "How successful? What exactly do you want? How much money? What kind of career? What kind of life?" The clearer your goal becomes, the easier it is for your mind to work toward it. Imagine trying to hit a target while blindfolded. That's what life feels like without a clear goal. Successful people don't simply hope for success. They decide exactly what they want, then they build their lives around it. Remember this. A dream without commitment remains a dream. But a dream supported by burning desire can change your entire future. Because every great success story begins with someone who refused to let go of one idea. But here's the problem. Even if your desire is incredibly strong, there will still be moments when doubt begins to whisper. What if you fail? What if you're not good enough? What if everyone laughs at you? How do successful people overcome those thoughts? That's exactly what we'll discover in lesson number 2. Lesson 2. Believe in yourself before anyone else does. Imagine planting a tiny seed. The next morning, you dig it up to check if it's growing. Nothing, so you plant it again the next day. You check again. Still nothing. Would that seed ever become a tree? Of course not. Because growth takes time. Success works exactly the same way. Many people give up. Not because they're incapable, but because they stop believing before results appear. Napoleon Hill calls this principle faith, not necessarily religious faith, but confidence. The belief that your goal is possible, even before you see evidence. Think about every inventor, every athlete, every entrepreneur. Before the world believed in them, they had to believe in themselves. Imagine if a young athlete stopped training because nobody applauded after the first week. Or if an author quit writing because their first chapter wasn't perfect. Great achievements require believing in something that doesn't yet exist. This is why Hill introduced the idea of autosuggestion. The words you repeat to yourself every day shape what you believe. Think about it. If every morning you tell yourself, "I'm terrible at this. I'll never succeed. I'm not smart enough." Eventually, your brain begins treating those thoughts as facts. Now imagine replacing those thoughts with something different. "I'm improving every day. I can learn this. My future is bigger than my current situation." Will repeating positive words magically make you rich? No. But they will change your actions. And your actions shape your future. Because people who believe success is possible keep trying longer. They learn more. They take opportunities. They recover faster after failure. The opposite is also true. People who constantly expect failure often quit before success has a chance to arrive. Henry Ford once said, "Whether you think you can, or you think you can't, you're right." That's one of the most powerful ideas in this entire book. Your mind becomes the direction your life follows. So protect it carefully. Feed it with books, positive ideas, encouraging people, and daily reminders of the person you're becoming. Because long before success becomes visible in your life, it first becomes believable in your mind. But here's where many people make a huge mistake. They believe positive thinking alone is enough. It isn't. Because dreams without knowledge rarely become reality, and that's exactly what we'll uncover in lesson number 3. Lesson 3. Knowledge alone won't make you rich, applied knowledge will. Let me ask you something. Who do you think will become more successful? A person who has read 100 books, but never takes action? Or someone who has read only 5 books, but applies every lesson? Most people think knowledge is power. But Napoleon Hill says something even more important. Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes powerful only when you use it. Imagine 2 friends. Both want to start an online business. The first spends months watching YouTube videos, reading blogs, buying courses, listening to podcasts. Every day, they learn something new. But they never actually begin. They're always waiting until they know enough. Now imagine the second person. They learn the basics, then immediately take action. They make mistakes. They improve. They learn from experience. 1 year later, who do you think is further ahead? Almost always, the second person. Because success doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from using what you already know. Napoleon Hill calls this specialized knowledge. He explains that successful people don't try to know everything. Instead, they become exceptionally good at something valuable. Think about a surgeon, a software engineer, a graphic designer, a lawyer, a chef. None of them became successful by learning a little about everything. They mastered one skill. and then kept improving it. In today's world, information is everywhere. Your phone gives you access to more knowledge than entire libraries did a few decades ago. Yet many people still struggle. Why? Because information isn't the problem. Implementation is. Here's something interesting. The world's most successful entrepreneurs never stop learning. But they also never stop acting. For every hour they spend learning, they spend another hour applying. That's why they continue growing while others stay stuck. Ask yourself honestly. How many books have you read? Whose lessons you never actually used? Maybe you read about productivity, but never created a daily routine. Maybe you read about investing, but never started saving. Maybe you learned about communication, but never practiced becoming a better listener. Reading changes your mind. Action changes your life. Here's a simple challenge. After finishing this video, don't try to apply all 7 lessons. Choose just one. One lesson. One habit. One small action. Because one lesson practiced consistently is worth far more than 100 lessons forgotten. Remember, knowledge opens the door. Action helps you walk through it. But here's the reality. Even after you start taking action, life won't suddenly become easy. You'll face rejection, failure, criticism, and moments when quitting feels easier than continuing. So what separates those who eventually succeed from those who quietly give up? That's exactly what we'll discover in lesson number 4. Lesson 4. Most people quit just before their breakthrough. Imagine you're digging for gold. You've been digging for weeks. You're tired. Nothing has appeared. So you finally decide, this isn't worth it. You put down your shovel and walk away. Now imagine another person arrives. They dig just 3 more feet and discover gold. Sounds unbelievable? Stories like this have inspired people for generations. Whether the exact details are true or not, the lesson is unforgettable. Many people quit when success is closer than they realize. Napoleon Hill believed that persistence is one of the rarest qualities among successful people. Not intelligence. Not talent. Persistence. Think about a baby learning to walk. They fall. Again. And again. And again. Imagine if babies thought like adults. I've fallen 10 times. I guess walking isn't for me. It sounds ridiculous. Yet that's exactly what many adults do with their dreams. One failed business, and they quit. One rejected job application, and they stop trying. One unsuccessful investment, and they decide they'll never succeed. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's often part of the journey. Look at some of the world's most successful people. Walt Disney was once told he lacked imagination. J.K. Rowling's manuscript was rejected by multiple publishers. Colonel Sanders heard no hundreds of times before someone believed in his recipe. Their success didn't happen because life was easy. It happened because they refused to stop. Persistence doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means continuing to improve, even when progress feels slow. Think about planting a tree. You water it every day. For weeks, nothing changes. Does that mean your effort is wasted? Of course not. Growth is happening beneath the surface. The same thing happens with your goals, your skills, your confidence, your reputation. Sometimes the biggest progress is invisible, until one day, everything starts to come together. That's why consistency beats intensity. Working hard for 1 week, then quitting, will never outperform someone who shows up every single day, even when they don't feel motivated. Here's a question I want you to remember. What if your biggest breakthrough is only one more attempt away? Would you really want to quit today? Because history is filled with people who failed many times, right before they finally succeeded. And perhaps the greatest difference between ordinary and extraordinary people is simply this. One kept going, while the other stopped. But here's something even more surprising. Even persistence has limits. If you're trying to do everything alone. The most successful people in history understood one powerful secret. Success is rarely a solo journey. And that's exactly what we'll uncover in lesson number 5. Lesson 5. You become stronger when you stop trying to succeed alone. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that behind almost every successful person, there's a team, a mentor, a business partner, supportive friends, or people who believed in them before anyone else did? That's not a coincidence. Napoleon Hill called this the mastermind principle. And he believed it was one of the greatest secrets behind extraordinary success. Imagine trying to build a house using only one tool. A hammer. No saw. No measuring tape. No screwdriver. You might make some progress, but it would take forever. Now imagine having a complete toolbox. Suddenly, everything becomes easier. Your life works the same way. No one knows everything. No one is good at everything. The smartest people don't try to become experts in every field instead. They surround themselves with people who have strengths they don't. Think about Steve Jobs. He was brilliant at creating vision. But Apple didn't become one of the biggest companies in the world because of Steve Jobs alone. There were engineers, designers, marketers, thousands of talented people working toward one goal. The same is true for almost every successful company. Success grows faster when great minds work together. Now imagine two entrepreneurs. The first believes, I don't need anyone. I'll figure everything out myself. Years pass. And they keep making the same mistakes. Now imagine another entrepreneur. They ask questions. Learn from mentors. Listen to experienced people. Accept advice. Within a few years they avoid mistakes that might have taken decades to learn alone. Who do you think reaches success faster? The answer is obvious. Because experience is valuable. But borrowed experience can save you years of struggle. Here's another important lesson. Be careful who you allow into your circle. The people around you influence your thinking more than you realize. If you're constantly surrounded by people who complain, fear change, and believe success is impossible, those beliefs slowly become yours too. But if you're surrounded by people who are learning, building, growing, and encouraging each other, their mindset becomes contagious. There's a famous quote, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Whether that number is exactly 5 or not, the idea remains true. Your environment shapes your future. So ask yourself today. Who inspires you to become better? Who challenges you to grow? Who celebrates your progress instead of feeling threatened by it? Spend more time with those people. Read books written by successful thinkers. Listen to meaningful conversations. Join communities that encourage growth. Because one powerful conversation can completely change the direction of your life. Remember, your network isn't just a list of contacts. It's one of your greatest investments. But even if you have amazing mentors, great friends, and valuable knowledge, there's still one battle you'll have to fight every single day. A battle that happens inside your own mind. And winning that battle may be the greatest key to success. Let's discover that in our final lesson. Lesson 6. Your biggest enemy is the voice inside your head. Imagine 2 people standing at the starting line of a marathon. Both have trained for months. Both are physically prepared. But just before the race begins, one person thinks, I've worked hard. I'll give it my best. No matter what happens, I'll finish. The other person thinks, what if I fail? What if everyone is faster? What if I'm not good enough? Both people have similar abilities. But who do you think performs better? Usually, the one who wins the battle inside their own mind. Napoleon Hill believed that your thoughts are like seeds. Plant seeds of confidence, and your actions begin to change. Plant seeds of fear, and you'll start limiting yourself before life even gets the chance. Think about how often your mind talks to you. Every single day. There's a conversation happening inside your head. Sometimes it encourages you. Sometimes it stops you. The question is, which voice are you listening to? Many people never fail because of a lack of talent. They fail because they convince themselves not to try. They say, I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't have enough money. I'm not smart enough. And before reality has a chance to decide, their own thoughts have already made the decision. Now imagine replacing those thoughts. Instead of saying, I can't, ask, how can I? Instead of saying, I'm not ready, say, I'll become ready. Instead of focusing on every reason something might fail, look for one reason it could succeed. This doesn't mean ignoring problems. It means refusing to let fear become your future. Here's something fascinating. Every successful person you've ever admired has experienced self-doubt. The difference is, they acted anyway. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it. Your mind is like a garden. If you don't intentionally plant positive thoughts, negative ones grow automatically. That's why what you read, what you watch, who you spend time with, and what you repeatedly tell yourself matter so much, because your thoughts become beliefs. Your beliefs become actions. And your actions become your future. So guard your mind carefully. Feed it with ideas that make you stronger, not weaker. Because the person you become tomorrow starts with the thoughts you choose today. And that brings us to the most powerful lesson of this entire book. The lesson that connects everything we've learned so far. Let's bring it all together, in the final part. Lesson 7. Your mind is the greatest asset you'll ever own. Imagine two people. Both start with the same education. The same amount of money. The same opportunities. 10 years later, one has built a successful business, created financial freedom, and lives with confidence. The other is still waiting. Still making excuses. Still saying, one day. What made the difference? It wasn't luck. It wasn't talent. It wasn't intelligence. It was the way they trained their mind. Napoleon Hill believed that every achievement begins with a thought. Before every company, there was an idea. Before every invention, there was imagination. Before every success, someone first believed it was possible. That's why your greatest investment isn't in stocks, or real estate, or cryptocurrency. It's in your own mind. Because everything you create in life starts there. Think about it. If someone gave you $1 million today, but you kept the same habits, the same fears, the same poor decision, how long would that money last? Maybe a few years. Maybe even less. But if someone took away all your money and left you with the mindset, discipline, and knowledge of a successful person, there's a good chance you'd build it all again. That's the real power of mindset. Money can disappear. Skills remain. Businesses can fail. Experience stays. Opportunities come and go. But the person you become stays with you forever. Napoleon Hill spent over 20 years studying highly successful people. And despite their different backgrounds, they all had one thing in common. They never stopped developing themselves. They kept reading, kept learning, kept improving. They understood a simple truth. Your income rarely grows beyond your personal growth. If you want a better future, become a better version of yourself. Read more books. Learn valuable skills. Improve your communication. Develop discipline. Strengthen your character. Because success isn't something you chase. It's something you attract. By becoming the kind of person who is ready for it. Maybe a few years. Maybe even less. But if someone took away all your money and left you with the mindset, discipline, and knowledge of a successful person, there's a good chance you'd build it all again. That's the real power of mindset. Money can disappear. Skills remain. Businesses can fail. Experience stays. Opportunities come and go. But the person you become stays with you forever. Napoleon Hill spent over 20 years studying highly successful people. And despite their different backgrounds, they all had one thing in common. They never stopped developing themselves. They kept reading, kept learning, kept improving. They understood a simple truth. Your income rarely grows beyond your personal growth. If you want a better future, become a better version of yourself. Read more books. Learn valuable skills. Improve your communication. Develop discipline. Strengthen your character. Because success isn't something you chase. It's something you attract. By becoming the kind of person who is ready for it. Imagine your mind as a garden. Every day, you have a choice. You can plant confidence, discipline, gratitude, and curiosity. Or, you can allow fear, negativity, and excuses to grow. Whatever you water, will eventually become your reality. So choose wisely. Because your future isn't created by one lucky moment. It's created by the thoughts, habits, and decisions you repeat every single day. And that's the real message behind Think and Grow Rich. It's not simply about becoming wealthy. It's about becoming the kind of person who creates success again and again. So, what have we learned today? Lesson number 1: every great achievement begins with a burning desire. Without a clear purpose, your dreams remain wishes. Lesson number 2: believe in yourself before the world believes in you. Faith creates the confidence to keep moving when results haven't appeared yet. Lesson number 3: knowledge alone isn't enough. Applied knowledge changes lives. Learning without action is simply entertainment. Lesson number 4: persistence separates winners from quitters. Lesson number 5: never try to build your dreams alone. The right mentors, friends, and partners can shorten years of struggle. Lesson number 6: your greatest battle is inside your own mind. The story you tell yourself every day becomes the life you eventually live. And finally, lesson number 7: your mind is your greatest asset. The more you invest in yourself, the more valuable you become. And when you become more valuable, success naturally begins to follow. If today's video inspired you, then I strongly recommend reading Think and Grow Rich yourself. This video covers only a small part of the wisdom inside this timeless classic. The book is filled with practical principles, real success stories, and powerful exercises that can completely transform the way you think about goals, money, and success. I placed my affiliate link in the description below. If you decide to buy the book through that link, you'll continue your learning journey, while also supporting this channel at no extra cost to you. If there's one personal development book that has inspired millions of successful people for generations, this is definitely one of them. And before you leave, if you haven't watched our video on 7 lessons from Rich Dad Poor Dad, click the card on your screen right now. It perfectly complements today's lesson by showing you how the right mindset and financial education work together to build long-term wealth. If you enjoyed this video, Don't forget to subscribe. Every week, we break down the world's greatest books into 7 practical lessons that help you become wiser, financially smarter, more productive, and more successful. No complicated language. No boring summaries. Just powerful ideas, explained in a simple way that you can apply to your life immediately. So hit that subscribe button and join us as we learn one great book at a time. Now I want to hear from you. Out of these 7 lessons, which one made the biggest impact on you? Write your answer in the comments below. And here's one more question. What's one dream you've been putting off, that you're finally ready to start today? I'd love to read your answers. Your story might be exactly the motivation someone else needs to take their first step. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time. Keep learning. Keep growing. And remember, every great success begins with a single thought. So think bigger, believe stronger, and never stop moving forward.